Okay, so welcome back to Exehaven Harbour, and I said to you in the last episode I'm not showing you how I go around making this, but I just wanted to give you a little perhaps hints and tips on doing varying things on a project with a Scalescenes kit. Now I'm going to just show you how I cut out an arch. Now bearing in mind I do print all of my Scalescenes kits on A4 sticky labels. So what I'm going to do now is just, he says, easily peel that off. Got the spare bit of card which will suffice for this exercise. I'll get that on there, try and get that as pretty tight as I can. Nice little bit in the corner that I've done there. Not that that matters really, because that's not part of the viaduct. There we go, sorted out. Okay, so let's cut that off because that's getting on my nerves. So hopefully you can see this. Let me just check the. Might be better to do it that way round. Just check the camera. Yeah. So all I'm doing here, because it wants you to cut this piece out here. So I get my scalpel and I use this Swan Morton scalpel with a 10A blade. Apparently the tips on the 10As are very strong and they're good for modelling. I read that ages and ages ago, stuck with me. Whether that's true or not, but I've never had one break on me, so it must be reasonably true. So yeah, so I get the knife on that edge, the point of the knife, and then all I do is just trace round the arch of the viaduct. Now, I think I might have said before, just take your time. There's no rush, because I found before, if you try and rush a Scalescenes kit, it looks rubbish. So, hope my hand's not in the way there. Obviously being very careful because these blades are very, very sharp. Okay, so just move the card round as you get through the arch. I hope this one comes out as well as all the ones that I've done already. Because sod's law will say it won't, but you'll get the idea, even if it doesn't. So slowly, I should have cut this piece of card down, but anyway, slowly but surely. Now this blade on here is relatively new. I've read somewhere that sometimes it's better to have a slightly blunter blade, because when these are brand new they really do cut in to the card. So we come right down there, just keep tracing that line to there. Now I'll come back to you in a second because I want to reduce the size of this card. Right, so seconds later, so we've started that, cutting that across there. Now you can just put your blade in and pick up where you started cutting because it'll just drop into it. So all we do, we come back down the other side, gently, slowly. And all we're doing really is just making a small groove ready for when we go back again. So this you know, the very first line that, or the very first cut line that you make is the guide as such. So what we're going to do now, we've made the complete arch. So we'll go back and we'll just cut back into that again. So as you cut into it, now you're getting deeper. Now I think it takes about 3 or 4 cuts depending on the thickness of the card that you're using. Now this is about 2mm thick, this card, because there's another layer that goes with it, so it makes it 4mm, and it's quite strong and robust then to take the weight of the trains going over the top of it. if you're using it for that, obviously. So once you've got that groove in there, the knife kind of follows that line round. So that's what we're doing now. The line has been made on the previous cut. But again, you know, you still got to take your time. Don't go too deep. You know, and I might be teaching some of you to suck eggs, but this is, you know, for people that are considering a Scalescenes kit. I'll just go with that again. I'll just check the other side. So far I can just see a very, you won't get that on the camera, but there's a very slight hint of me starting to cut through there. So now that's getting right in there now, and it becomes not easier to, well, it is easier to cut because the line's in there now, so the knife will follow that line because you've done it twice. But again, take your time, don't go mad. This blade actually is very sharp, I can feel that going through to the mat. So we come round there. Okay, so we're getting there now. I'm going to make, I'm just going to cut across the bottom so that you can see this first arch coming out. I'm not going to cut both of them out. I mean, this is not the most dramatic and lively of videos. Should be pretty clear now. So when I cut that arch out, it's going to come out rather than be stuck in there. Okay, so again, I think this is our fourth attempt now, and it should be just about the last attempt. And there we go, she's starting to come out now. Now, yeah, that's come out. So there we go. Now you're going to have occasionally some rough edges, and again, this might depend on the card, but I just usually get my scalpel. I don't know whether you can see that because I haven't checked the camera. But yeah, if you just scrape along there, that'll get some of that chuff out of there, that chaff. And there you go. You've got one arch cut out. There it is. And you know, it doesn't take too long, and once you get in the rhythm, I found that I was doing one of these in 5 minutes. So it doesn't take too long, but it is a matter of taking your time and making sure you're getting it cut right. Otherwise, it does look like a dog's dinner. All right, so hopefully that's helpful, and we'll move on to the next segment. So that there is a completed set of 4 arches. Now I'm making another set of 4, and I may have to make a few more for what I've got planned as the layout goes round, but I'm going to just go this far so far because then I can sort of balance it out. On the ends of the viaducts you've got some more bits to add here, more just sort of brick, just to sort of finish it off as it goes into the side of the hill or whatever it is you're doing it to. But I'm not doing that yet because obviously I'm not quite sure how it's all going to fit in, but that is kind of like the finished product. Now I've done a double track, let me just lift you up. The track's placed on there for effect more than it's probably just about right how it sits in there, but that will have to be measured out properly when it gets on the layout. But yeah, it's a lovely kit, very pleased with it. What the other thing I'm also going to have to do is probably there are some columns that you can add to these. That's an extra, it's a different kit. And I think for the height coming out of where I want, we're going to need to have that a few more centimetres higher, but we'll see how that goes. Also, what I've bought at the same time is the kit to, so there's going to be a set of arches going through Exehaven town carrying this round, this line round, and you've got loads of shop fronts and different businesses that will fill those arches, so that will make some interest as we get round to that part. So hopefully you found that interesting. I didn't want to go too in depth, and even probably already we've had 5 minutes worth of chat about the Scalescenes kit, which sometimes is not the most lively thing to talk about, but interesting, especially if you've never done one and you're looking for a few little hints and tips. Now, I've made a few kits now, Scalescenes kits, and it does take practice. Don't be disheartened on your first attempt if it does look like a dog's dinner, because it more than likely will. But if you keep going, they do start coming together, and I'm actually starting to get quite pleased with what I've got in front of me. Okay. Right, so the next thing I wanted to show you, and I remember saying it in the last episode, is actually showing you how to put the arch in here. Now, this is a little bit of a faff, to be honest. This is my way. Obviously you'd find your own way, but in N-gauge I don't find there's enough finger room half the time. Perhaps there is in double O gauge, and basically what I'm doing here is getting these pieces and trying to get them into some sort of memory shape, if you like, getting the card. This has all been scored, this card, along the red dotted lines. Now what we're going to do is basically put a bead of glue on the front here. I think it does say put the bead of glue around here, but I'm sure it doesn't matter one way or the other. So bead of glue along here, like that. Just make sure we get that to the edge. Right. Now I'm using straightforward PVA glue. I think this is the no nonsense PVA glue from B&Q, which seems to be quite good stuff actually. But anyway, so we start here. We get that on there, and we get that arch around there, and it is, like I say, the thing is not to panic, I think, with a lot of these things. So we get that on there, we get that round there like that. Some of these brick underneath arches have gone on better than others, or easier than others. So get that there. That, and you just sort of basically, I tend to hold these pieces here at the bottoms of the arches for a little bit, so they just get a little bit tacky, and then just push the front in so it's not poking out, and that leading edge there, and then just run your finger round. Now that one's gone in reasonably well and stuck pretty quickly. Some of them just keep coming unstuck, but like I say, I think the key is not to panic. If it'll start slipping out but there's not enough room to put your fingers on, sticky fingers as well. Try and keep obviously off the brickwork your sticky fingers, because you're going to get sticky fingers. It's sometimes handy to have a little pot of water here and a little cloth just to dry your fingers off. But anyway, that one seems to have gone in. I've got my hands right in the way. That one seems to have gone in pretty well, okay. But yeah, like I say, N-gauge, it's okay, but there's quite often not quite enough places to put your fingers to hold things together, or you haven't got enough room to put your fingers in. But there we go. That's that on there and kind of done really. So it does feel a little bit uneven at the moment, but that will sort itself out once the other side's on. And that again is a little bit of a faff, because what you have to do is kind of force it in and then glue it in. So we're on the way to completing the second set of 4 arches, and I hope that's helpful to anybody that's starting out on a Scalescenes kit, or wants to build this. It is tricky, but it does come together. And like I say, this unevenness will go because the other side of this paper arch will be sorted into the other arch on the other side, if you know what I mean, and it will come together. So, after much pondering, and I've had some feedback from some people, this is now going to be the junction to get from the, I think this is going to be the down line, or it could be the up line. No, it's the up line, because we'd be going to London that way. So yeah, so in effect what we're doing, the crossover to get into Exehaven Harbour station will be on this side of the bridge. Now like I say, I've pondered and pondered and pondered about having the 2 points on the slope which runs down from the bridge that I've recently built into Exehaven Harbour, and the more I think about it, the more I don't like it, and I want it on a flat surface. It's really all about the compromises you have to make with a model railway. I know it's probably not, and it isn't, prototypical. I've had some feedback from people already saying this is a complete no-no, but you know, I think in the way that the tracks are set up and how the plan is in my head, I can't work it out any better, because the throat that goes into Exehaven Harbour station, in my mind, there is a certain landform, and that's how that allows that to work. But it doesn't allow a crossover from one line to another to take her in, or take the trains into Exehaven Harbour station. So this is what it's going to be. I may not even motorise the points here, but you know, that's something for me to work out as we go along. But I'm reasonably happy with how that looks, and to be honest, I mean, it's got to go, you know, if we're coming out of Exehaven, it's going to come along this track and then swap over onto the up line, and you know, it's going to be as simple as that. There's a short space where it's, let's say it's going to be bi-directional on one track, but I think it's a compromise that, you know, I can live with, and I'm going to carry on with it like that, and I much prefer the look of that on the flat rather than the slope. It didn't look, I've tried it on the slope and it didn't look that realistic, to be fair, even though it was on the very beginning of the slope where it was only a few millimetres. But we'll you know, we'll make a scene of it. We'll have a nice signal box there. Obviously the tracks from the other line here will cross over there as well, so you know, it won't be that obvious, he says, and that's where we're at with that. So I thought I'd update you with that, and it's slowly but surely the track is being laid into the position that I want. Okay, so I'm going to go off and have a cup of tea and probably another ponder, and I'll continue with some more track laying. Okay, so here we are. A lot more track laying has been done, and as you can see, we've got from right up the back up there, which it goes halfway round the back, but I can't get all the way that in the shot, coming across the bridge, and now we have the junction There's 2 points just on the other side of the bridge, just about where the tip of my finger is now. Come across the bridge, and then that point there, that junction, leads us into Exehaven Harbour station. And we have the double track main line, which is now leading us in to Exehaven town station. Now, this is going to have to be, where's my finger? There we go. This is going to have to be on a slight curve, this station, to get it round, and I suspected that, because initially when I first sort of thought this out, I was going to get it to go from basically the blue tape and it come straight across, but it was too tight to get round the onto the other board. So this is how I've got this going now, and there's not too much of a curve on the platforms. I know it's difficult to perhaps do a decent curved platform, but I'm going to give it a go. And it should take an 8-coach train, and I'm planning to run 7 coaches anyway, so that should give me plenty of room. And really, at the moment, that's as far as I can get, because this is the last segment of this video. And yeah, sadly this week my dad passed away, and I'm going to take a little break, and so that I can be with my mum, my sister, and obviously there's lots to sort out. So hopefully it'll be sort of about a month's time before I'm back, and I'll work on the layout in between times, but it won't be perhaps as consistent, although it's not been consistent at all as I would like. So, and it will depend on what time I've got available. So I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks as usual for all your support. Cheers for now.